The following is a special presentation of Extreme eSpeed TV, your new home for everything iRacing and eSpeed.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and you are tuning into the Light Electric Company NextGen series, and we are at Daytona International Speedway for the Pacific Aerial Bash at the Beach 200. I'm Travis Piercefield, joined as always by John Hine. John, we returned to Daytona where the season started for our mid-season night race, and as qualifying gets underway, you called the race from Daytona earlier in the year. What should we expect today?
A lot of really good racing. This is a race that traditionally, both in here and in the real world, that an underdog can win. The draft and how you work it, it's completely different than anything else that these guys will do, other than obviously Talladega. So, there's some guys that are just naturally really, really good at it that may struggle at some of the other tracks. So we may see a surprise winner. Back then, Brian Miskell Jr., he was the one that took home the win. Nathan Bishop had the pole. And Miskell actually got the hard charger with, I believe it was Chris Metford, and who finished sixth. So you can move a lot of places and come away with a win here.
So we have qualifying out there now. They'll start to get up to speed and then they'll populate over there on the left as we go through. We've seen a lot of shakeups during the point standings the last few weeks. We'll get to that here shortly. But there is some shakeup throughout it all. Brian Littleton has been able to stay atop the standings. He's had some good races. He's had some bad luck. But he's been able to keep that top position in the point standings through the last few weeks here as we head into the summer.
Yeah, and this is one of those tracks that finishing the race almost feels like you kind of partially hit the lottery. You never know what you're going to get here. It's so easy to get caught up in anything. So, I don't know what his mindset will be here, but does he protect or does he just race and be aggressive? I mean, there's a long way to go here yet in the season. So, I would probably lean towards he's probably going to, try to go for it. The guy's always up somewhere near the top five, and I'd expect tonight to be no different.
Well, our Linda Haney Memorial Pole Award at the season opener here at Daytona went to the 27 of Nathan Bishop. He's currently out there as well. He's someone that's gradually slid up. He's currently into the top 10 in the point standings as we sneak closer and closer to that Light Electric Company playoffs coming here soon. The summer months, right now we're at the point where we get some breaks. We're off next week. Once we come back on July 10th, though, we will be heavy into the racing schedule. As you'll see, we'll go Daytona, a week off for Chicagoland. Then it's Chicagoland, Gateway, Darlington, Nashville, 4 straight weeks to end the month of July, including that stop in Gateway, your neck of the woods, John.
Absolutely, right across the river over there in Illinois, and fun track, interesting track. I'm going to be interested to see what happens when we get there. Are the guys going to be shifting down on one and two? And it's not you think of Darlington, the old minnow pond that kind of gives it an egg shape. Well, Gateway, if Darlington's an egg, I don't even know what to call Gateway because it's very, very odd shape like that.
So they continue to make laps. Looking at, we have one multi-race winner this year. It's Steve Baker. He's got three. Everyone else has one. And as you come to a track like Daytona, that's the perfect opportunity for someone to steal a win, someone to grab a win that maybe doesn't normally run up front. It should be exciting to see who's racing up front at the end of this for 80 laps here today at Daytona as they continue to make laps around the.
Yeah, and what is neat here is the other races that we've had this season. We've talked so much about pit strategy. We've seen guys on different agendas pit different times, and some do well. Some even have grabbed wins doing that. Well, here you got a couple of strategies you can employ on track. Do you hang around the back, stay out of the pack, but kind of stay close enough to whenever you need to, you can drive up and join them, or do you run up front and keep the chaos behind you? This is going to be one of those things where we're going to see, strategy kind of play out throughout the race on the track. And I think that's going to add a lot of fun tonight.
So plenty of action set to come. Currently waiting for some more guys. We've had 10 make laps thus far. We have almost 30 guys going to make an attempt here tonight at Daytona. As we watch Dylan Berg. That's a new name I don't remember seeing yet this year. And that number 67, John.
No, it's not. When I first saw the name, I was wondering if he's related to Chris Berg. It wouldn't surprise me if he was. Um, but yeah, first time out to see him, and um, I thought I saw one other guy too that was in here that maybe I hadn't seen. But now that I'm looking at that list, now he's the only new name. But it's cool to have him out, and we'll be looking forward to seeing how he does tonight.
So as we take a break here in qualifying, we'll take a look at the point standings. So you see Brian Littleton sitting atop the standings there, up 19 points on Troy Radford. Troy Radford's really made some gains the last couple of weeks, had some really good runs. Travis Smith third, Roy Hyde fourth, and Brian Mescal, as we mentioned, our winner here to kick off the season at Daytona, in fifth. All of the top five have one win this season. Then it's Chris Medford looking for his first win of the year. Nathan Bishop looking for his first win of the year. Steve Baker with three. Chris Spencer, no wins on the season yet. And then in 10th is Dustin Ping. He has one win that he picked up at Phoenix earlier in the year.
Yeah, and Radford comes in with the big mo. I do believe he was our last winner that we had. So, and he hasn't laid down a time yet. And I'm looking at all the cars that do not have times, and starting to kind of wonder here if that is not going. to I mean, obviously it's part of strategy, not going out and qualifying, but how you're going to run your race? Going to hang out, try to stay away from the trouble, or are you going to get in there and mix it up? I see a lot of good guys here though towards the back. Miskel being one of them that won here has not turned in a qualifying spot. So we know he can be fast here, and he might be end up towards the back here.
The ones I think about growing up, I was always a Jeff Gordon fan, so I remember Dale Jarrett used to always go to the back towards the at least the end of his career. There's some current drivers that will go straight back to the back of the pack now, still just try to ride it out. I remember Ryan Newman used to do that quite a bit as well, trying to avoid the wreck. I feel like as chaos comes at the end of the race, and guys go, oh, I have to get to the front. That's probably the most dangerous time to be going from the back to the front. So it's always interesting strategy to watch, which, as we've mentioned all season long, strategy will come into play. We've seen it with pit stops, with cautions, with gas, with tires, and I'm sure tonight will be no different.
Yeah, and I think part of that is when you go to the back early on, and yeah, you're absolutely right. It's probably a lot more hectic as the laps are winding down. However, I'd rather be caught up in a wreck on lap 79 in our case than be caught up in a wreck on lap six. And I think that probably has a lot to do with when you go back. And I've been in these races myself on iRacing, and what always dictates to me when I fall back is if I'm up front and I see guys doing moves that just I'm like, yeah, these aren't the smart. That wasn't the smartest moves, and I've seen it constantly. I'll back away and let them do their thing, and then I'll come back a little bit later on. And so you might see some guys go up front, fall to the back, maybe come back up, that kind of thing tonight.
So looking at it, we've got less than 2 minutes left, John. So I'm thinking they might just take their chances and see how they line up, as it would probably take over 2 minutes to get that warm-up lap in and then get a timed lap in here if they do stick to that 10-minute clock.
Yeah, when that's what I did when I did the iRacing Daytona 500 this season, and that's exactly what I did. I didn't qualify, was out in the back, and 80 laps around here does take a long time, and a lot of things can happen. The nice thing is if you're back here, if you got teammates and whatnot, you can hang around, even if you lose the pack a little bit. If you got four, maybe five guys that can stay right there in line together, you can run a pack back down. So that could be part of it. They just know that there's some guys that are teammates or friends or whatever, and they are going to hang back and try to stay out of trouble.
So with that, we will have, what is it, about a minute left on the clock. Chris Berg is sitting at the top. If that holds, it will be his Linda Haney Memorial Pole Award, for the evening here.
And Nathan Bishop, who grabbed the pole last time around here, is going to slot in at P4. So, once again, he's fast here too. But like I said, I'm looking down the guys that haven't taken time. Miskell was really fast. Obviously, he won. Littleton, I think, had a top five. No surprise there, but he had a top five, I think, last time we were around. So there's some guys that are back there. And I know Eric Blount, looking at the results, he's going to start 26 if everything holds, which I do believe it is. He got wrecked early, so now he gets to hang out back and pick and choose his spots.
So with that, qualifying will come to an end. They're going to start getting gridded up while they get out to the grid. Some tune-in information here on Extreme eSpeed TV. Tuesday, the Coolray Pro Late Model Dirt Series, including John Hine, is back in action. They will head to Port Royal Speedway for the first time in series history for the River Valley Rumble. It's actually a little Pennsylvania Speed Week for them, as they will go to Williams Grove on Wednesday. You can, of course, watch all that exciting action right here on Extreme eSpeed TV. Any predictions for how you are expecting to run there on Tuesday, John?
No, I haven't even hit that track in a full race yet. So, um, my plan is to put my right foot in it and turn left. That's so far. That's my early strategy.
Well, they are lined up here, just like you guys will be lined up on Tuesday at Port Royal. And with that, John, we will get into our starting lineup for here at Daytona.
Absolutely. Out front, grabbing the Linda Haney Memorial pole is going to be Chris Berg in the number 66. Next to him will be Chris Spencer. Second row is going to be Hunter Tate. Next to him will be Nathan Bishop. Starting in the third row is going to be Jimmy Hetrick and Ryan Wilson. Then in the fourth row, it's going to be uh, Bobby Hetrick and Dylan Berg. Following them is going to be Matt McKeegan and Mike Massengill. Starting 11th will be Derek Myers, and next to him will be Roy Hyde. Next row is going to be our last race winner, Troy Radford. Next to him, our three-time race winner this season. That's going to be a row to watch. That's going to be Troy Radford, like I said, and Steve Baker. And then we got our point leader in the row behind them. Starting 15th tonight is going to be Brian Littleton. Next to him will be Travis Smith. The next row is going to be Dustin Ping, and to his outside is going to be the Daytona winner from earlier this season, Brian Miskell Jr. Starting 19th will be Brandon Medford. Next to him, and starting 20th will be Damon Cox. 21st will be Chris Medford. Next to him will be Gary Raglan. Starting 23rd, Lance Yancey and Matt Kopp starting 24th. And in the final row tonight is going to be Ray Radford. And next to him is going to be the number 6 of Eric Blount.
Well, I am excited to be here at Daytona with you, John. Tonight should be exciting. And as you went through that lineup, it reminded me, Lance Yancey starting there towards the back had a great run at Charlotte when we were on air last time. Got caught up in a incident there that ruined his day at Charlotte. But if you're looking for someone that's maybe starting towards the back, he had a great run going at Charlotte.
Yeah, he did. Had some of the worst luck I think I've ever seen. A tough break there. So maybe get a little redemption here and then pick up a victory here on the high banks of Daytona.
So we will get going as they will enter the Blackhawk Motorsports restart zone to get us going here and get us to action. As mentioned, tonight's race will be 80 laps. And the iRacing pace car will pull on in, and it's going to be Chris Berg and Chris Spencer leading us to green at Daytona, and we are underway in the Pacific Aerial Bash at the Beach 200. Clean so far, John, as they go through 1 and 2. That inside line is getting together better than that outside line as they go down the backstretch.
Yeah, And already you see the 24 there get out of line, head right to the back. So our strategy playing out already, and we're not even through lap 1.
So Chris Berg pulls ahead. He's got Hunter Tate right behind him. That 48 of Head Trick on that inside line as well. As that outside line starts to group together now, there's 5, 6 cars in each line in that front pack.
Yeah, and they're just feeling out what they can do here. You've got plenty of time here to test different things. What do you like? Top line, bottom line? How long does it take you to work your way to the front? Those are all good things to know for a little bit later on when we get down to the end of this thing.
Some movement by that 8 of Hunter Tate as they went down the backstretch there. As there's really about 3 packs of cars now. That front one is the most formulated pack with 2 lines, 2 by 2 for about the top 11 cars. So in a restrictor plate type race, John, it's 80 laps. What are you trying to do here throughout the night, and kind of what phases of the race do you go through?
I'm trying to learn. Right from the green flag, I'm trying to learn everything I can. What does my car do up top? If I push somebody, how hard can I get into them before their back, gets a little out of shape? How hard can I be hit before I feel a little bit light? I mean, each little thing is just the thing that you're learning. Which lane will move quicker, we'll take note. If I'm on the bottom, I know there's, like right now, you got 5 guys and it looks like, you can push ahead through the corner. I'm taking note of that. If the 5 guys on the outside now get more lined up, a little more organized there, or the 94 of Radford can join them, does that line start to move up? All these things, all computing in, going into a memory bank, just right from the start.
I would think if you had to make a pick, that 8 at Daytona is always going to be a favorite to look at least grab your attention when you think restrictor plate racing. And so far, Hunter Tate is all over the back of Berg, staying in line at this point.
Yeah, and after a few laps too, you get tucked under, see how long it takes before your engine gets hot, that kind of stuff, that all those things, like I said, learning from the get-go.
So that inside line has 5 cars, that outside line has 4 put together, a couple stragglers for that lead pack group. That inside line continues to be the more formulated line, as that outside line, a lot of movement. Looking back in the pack, Derek Myers in the 24, he went to the back of the pack. Ray Radford started back there. Lance Yancey and Eric Blunt all started back there as well. So they currently all sit at the back, ride it out. Looks like Dustin Ping's back there as well. He's someone that's been fast all season long as well.
Yeah, and I know in this league there's a lot of different teams and everything else. So you almost everybody will have somebody to work with. But another thing that you're learning here is, who can you work with early on? Maybe I'm petty inside the car, but if I move high or someone puts me 3 wide, or if I push someone out to the lead and they immediately, if I push someone on the outside and they get the lead and immediately go down to the inside and abandon me on the outside, boy, I don't forget that, and then later on, and it's not that I'm looking to basically screw them over or anything, but I don't take care of them. If I got somebody that pushes me generally to the front, I'll try my best to wait until we're both clear so we both can move down. Those are more things that you can take note of here early on.
So 6 laps complete this time by 6 laps of 80. Talking about the different teams, looking at Blackhawk Motorsports, they've currently got Chris Berg, who's out front of that inside pack. They have Dylan Berg, who's in 8th, Mike Massengale, who's in 11th, and then they have Dustin Ping, who's back at the back in 23rd, so not grouped up really at this point for them.
Yeah, and that won't surprise me a bit, though. At some point, they'll merge and they'll figure it out here. But everybody's playing it cool right now and staying in line, which is good. It's going to help click laps off here. Not seeing a whole lot of jockeying from position. And I'll be honest with you too, Travis. I'm yet to really decide which line would be the fastest. Once again, now you see the outside line, they've gotten a little better organized here, and they're almost dead even at the line here.
I feel like that outside line, when they do get into formation, they do make up ground, and then as you see, as it falls apart, that inside line's able to pull ahead. So I think if that outside line's able to, they may be able to get some momentum and make something happen on that outside line. Something to watch as we go through this 80-lap race.
Yeah, it definitely, you know, Radford was on the back of that outside line, and they were moving forward, and then he fell off of it. And it looks like he's just gauging his runs here because he's pulling right back up towards them. But once he gets up there, all of a sudden that outside line starts to move a little bit. So it looks like when you pull up here, the cars that have the line that has the most cars in them are probably going to have enough energy to hold off whatever runs the other lane might have.
So they continue to tick away laps here. We're on lap 9 of 80. And this is something we've seen at all different types of tracks. Really, the short track of Martinsville is in a league of its own, but all the other tracks, intermediates and not, have been some long green flag runs. And then once it hits that pay window, things start to get moving, and I expect that's exactly going to be the case here tonight at Daytona.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, if this continues like this, and we haven't talked about it, but green flag pit stops, you know, tire strategy has been big so far this season. Here, not so much. You know what? If I was pitting this first round, if it was green flag, man, I'm just gassing and going. So, you know, they have the option to take the rubber, but I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference on the stopwatch or how your car is handling. But if you mess up getting a pit road, maybe not get that car rode up enough, get a speeding penalty, or come in too hot and end up out in that little grassy, I want to call it the infield, but that, you know, and they're in the tri-oval, man, that could cost you your race.
I also think that's going to be the time where some of these teams get together and group back up, is knowing that they have a drafting partner, knowing that they have teammates in the pits with them as well. And I could see that strategy playing out as we go through this race as well. You're watching Extreme eSpeed TV. I'm Travis Piercefield, joined by John Hine as always. It's the Light Electric Company NextGen series for the Pacific Aerial Bash at the Beach 200. Down in Daytona Beach, Florida. We've got 10 laps complete on 11, and so far the top 7 are as is, running side by side, really breaking away with 3 groups now out on the track.
Yeah, and the nice thing is, if you're in this lead pack, and this is not something I would have thought of, but one thing they've got going for them, if they mess up that entrance to pit road or maybe getting off of pit road and lose the draft of this front bunch, well, you got a couple other groups back up the track that can pick you up and save you here. So there could be a little bit of advantage for being up here in this top group.
We're currently riding along with Nathan Bishop in the 27. He rides 4th for our Blackhawk Motorsports Shake and Bake in-car cam. As you can see, he is pushing Chris Spencer around in that outside line down the backstretch here at Daytona.
Yeah, and I think what also is helping the guys on the bottom, they have that double yellow line, so they have a visual cue to to get that car and put it on there, and I think that's helping them stay in line. Where those guys on the outside, you kind of see them get a little jumbled, should I say, as they get into the corner. It might slide up a little bit higher. They seem to have a harder time staying in line, and I think that's because they don't have that visual cue. I mean, there's a seam, you know, if they could all just stay right on that seam that goes right below the stripes up on the top of the track here. I mean, those are the kinds of things on the outside that they need to be looking at to try to keep a very steady wheel through the corner.
One thing to point out, John, Derek Myers, who dropped back to the back, has raced his way up into the top 10 now. So that 24 machine dropped back into the 20s after starting middle of the pack, and now he's been able to make his way up, and he's really doing it with not a lot of help.
Yeah, I mean, Radford's back there. He just passed him. We saw him up in that lead group. Damon Cox, Chris Berg. There's a few guys now that, were straggling behind. That second group there a little bit seems to be closing in there. Got to make this front group a whole lot bigger here before long, it looks like.
Well, and that's something to pay attention to is how quickly they were able to move up through the field. As Chris Berg will jump out of line down the backstretch, that'll move Hunter Tate into the lead. Didn't see what happened, but it could have been some bump drafting that got him out of line there.
Yeah, really smart for him to go down there and get it under control rather than just try to hurry up and get back into the space there. That could have caused a big wreck here. So good patience there. And now he's going to find out what he has as far as, how to pass and stuff like that. The other thing for the drivers that's different here than anywhere else you go, every other track you have a measuring stick. Okay, this guy is beating me here, maybe on the corner entrance or getting out of the corners better than I am. That's really probably the least of your worries here. Everybody is hammered down, just kind of lifting a little bit, not to run over the guy in front of you, but all that kind of stuff and is all out the window. You don't have to worry about getting beat into a corner or out of a corner. But what you do have to figure is, okay, where can I get the best run and complete a pass? Is it in the trial or coming to the trial? Is it coming out of turn 2? So while you don't have to worry about those other things, there are a couple things that are new that you still have to worry about.
While you were talking there, John, we showed a replay, obviously not a caution, but a replay of what happened there to Berg, and it looked like he may have just gotten a little squirrely coming off a 2, which opened the door for Hunter Tate, and then Berg just moved to the side to not force anything this early in the race.
Yeah, that's good heads-up driving there by Berg here, not to cause any big issues, and he's going to keep all fenders on because of it and be able to probably work his way back up to the front. He seemed to have a really fast car.
As that outside lane, some change in position up there as Nathan Bishop's able to get past Chris Spencer. And Troy Radford is now the third car in that outside line. A lot of movement as guys are moving up through the field now as it got sorted out, stretched out. That inside line goes on as far as you can see. Now there's only 3 cars up on that outside line.
And usually you see everybody get down in single file if somebody's gonna pit. It seems like it'd be a little early to be talking about pit stops here, but at this crew, you never know.
Well, we've seen this series as well. They'll do whatever they need to do to kind of get into rhythm, knock out some laps. You're talking 80 laps around here. That's plenty of time to make moves. So it's been a real patient group of drivers all season long, and that might be what's coming into play here now at Daytona.
Absolutely. I mean, each lap takes about 48 seconds here. They're 190 mile an hour when they're in line and probably mid 180s. If they're by themselves on the track, maybe low 180s. So there's a big benefit of just staying in line, clicking it off, maybe getting some separation. Maybe these guys realize too that, hey, these other guys are catching in here. We have a nice little pack amongst ourselves. Let's try to get away from them.
So working on lap 19 now at Daytona. It's Nathan Bishop out front. Hunter Tate in line behind him in that inside line. As they continue to count way, we're almost to about 25% complete in this race here at Daytona. And as usual, if green flag pit stops have to be made, that should shake things up as we've seen all season long.
Oh, absolutely. But, right now, I would say from probably 20th on forward, all have that lead draft. You got a couple of guys towards the back. Well, actually, now as close as they've drawn up, you've got everybody still pretty much sharing the same draft. With the exception of the last 2 there, Lance Yancey and Ray Radford.
So looking at through the field, currently Troy Radford's our hard charger. He's up 8 spots, currently right there in that 94 in 5th. Gary Ragland's moved up 7 spots. Chris Berg, who started on the pole, we saw him jump out of line. He's back in 11th now as they continue to get settled in, but that outside line, Hedrick jumped up in front of Spencer there to take his attempt at that outside line, and they're starting to make some gains on the leader.
Yeah, they are, and the closer your bumpers are, the faster you're going to go. So, you know, but there's also a risk the closer you get to somebody, if they get a little squirrely, or maybe you come, you know, go back and forth in their lane. Next thing you know, they could get turned. So, yeah, you got to just play it and you know, realize the situation you're in and decide how aggressive you want to be, and or just how fast you want to go.
Riding along with Chris Spencer, you can see him behind the 48 of Hedrick. That inside line led by Nathan Bishop and Hunter Tate right behind him. And it's interesting to watch. I think you're right with that inside double yellow line, helping that inside line stay tighter and stay in line better. But that outside line, there's a lot of movement happening out there.
Yeah, like I said, you get a visual, and you know, you got a visual point to look at and where to place your car, and that does make it a little bit easier as you go in. And you got to know too, it's really hard to see through these cars. So let's just say you're third or fourth in line. If you're tucked up behind somebody, you can't see where that first guy on the outside turns in. So you might turn in a little bit later, you know, and it might wash you up a little bit, or whatever the case might be. So that is also at play there. Whereas the bottom, you know where that double yellow line is. You can follow it. You can turn in. Everybody can use the same cues. It really does make it a lot easier.
So now 4 drivers in that outside line, including Troy Radford and Derek Myers, moved up and down throughout the field as Myers jumps to that inside line behind McBeacon. And then you see somebody else jump up into that outside line. Looks like Brian Wilson will jump in now into that 4th spot in that outside line.
Yeah, just having a hard time keeping that car steady. Every time you see that car move back and forth like that, it scrubs speed. It breaks a little bit of momentum, not much, but enough for him not to close up and help push those outside cars along.
They continue to tick away the laps.
3 wide now going into the corner there.
As Hedrick gets out of line, that opens the door for Spencer and Myers. Now Myers is behind Spencer. Hedrick will stay in that outside line, as that inside line is about 13 cars deep right now.
Yeah, and you know, for only being 3 cars on the outside, they are holding their own here. And you look at the 11. Look how steady of a line he holds. That allows that guy right behind him to just stay right on his bumper. Now look at the run they're going to get down the backstretch. That's all because of that lead car just basically not sawing on that wheel and just holding that steady line. Oh, and he abandoned his wingman, went down to the low side, pick up the train.
That'll have Myers drop back. He'll jump back in line. Interesting looking at that. Chris Spencer and Derek Myers are actually part of Smoke Show Racing. So that's 2 teammates that were able to connect there. And what it did, was it pushed Chris Spencer right to the lead.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have been a bit surprised if they would have followed through in a couple other corners. Like, they probably could have cleared them both and got down there. Chris was just holding a great line through the corner. We made it really easy to shove him pretty good.
So now it's single file around that inside line, 26 laps about to be complete here in this 80-lap affair at Daytona. It's the Pacific Aerial Bash at Daytona 200. You know, I was doing my research on Daytona International Speedway, John, built in 1959, of course, home to the Daytona 500. Interesting thing I found, $3 million to build.
Yeah, that, well, you know, if you think about it, the whole Louisiana purchase was for $15 million. So, yeah, incredible what they've done here in the history this track is built. And I remember that first, well, I don't remember the first race, but I've read a lot about that first race and all the controversy. Could you imagine spending that? Because $3 million in 1959 is a lot of money. Have your first race and nobody knows who wins for like 3 days.
It had ended up being a Petty that would win that
Lee
first
Petty.
race.
That's correct.
Photo finish and all took some time to figure it out.
Yeah, incredible. But yeah, you know, that would be something though. iRacing, it'd be really neat if they scanned as the old Daytona where you ran the beach and the old circuit. Could you imagine trying to navigate that? That'd be wild.
Just hearing about how those corners were set up, I've seen videos of where I think it's the north turn was, and to this day it still looks treacherous. But back in the day, you kind of just threw it through the corner, hoping nobody was on the other side.
Yeah, I've only seen pictures and maybe some old video footage of it, and I've never been down there. And I've often wondered, because it looks like it's sand there in the corners. I can't imagine pitching a car in the middle of a sand dune and trying to turn it. It seems like that'd be really hard. And those cars back then did not have power steering.
Just thinking about that at a lot of tracks, even in decent condition. I think of, you know, I feel like it happened back in the 80s, 90s more often than it does now, but guy would lose power steering, and that adds a little bit more work to his day as the lead pack is about to gain some guys there on the back of the pack, including Lance Yancey and Brian Mescal Jr.
Yeah, they must have pitted. I was just looking at that as we were talking about the old Daytona, but now that would lead me to believe that maybe some of these guys are going to start thinking about pitting here because, yep, there they come.
Can you kind of talk about, as you see Chris Berg woe it down as he enters, could you kind of talk about, especially in a group of cars coming off of 4 and getting it woed down to this pit road?
Nerve-wracking. Incredibly nerve-wracking. You know, you kind of want to fan out a little bit if it's possible so you don't get the guy in front of you and try to get everything down to speed or down to pit road speed. But in the same token, if you can, you know, maybe hold braking for maybe 50 feet or so, you can pass, you know, before you get to the entrance of pit road here. But boy, that's a dangerous game to play here early on. I think I'd probably opt for not rocking the boat or anything and just trying to get in and out. Now the leaders, a lot of them are coming in and out.
As the leaders will. I was looking, that first group of guys that came in appeared to be Dirty Air Racing, John. That last lap, it appeared to be Blackhawk Motorsports.
Yeah. Yeah, you called it, you know, pit with your teammates, find each other and pit in here, and then hopefully everybody can get back out. And now what that means is when they pack back up, theoretically, you're going to see teammates nose to tail. Now you might see them trying to dice it up a little bit just to see who can get to where, get control of the race.
And with that, Chris Spencer and his teammate Derek Myers will jump onto pit road. That will hand the lead over to Hunter Tate, who is just exiting. It's Tate, McMeekin, Troy Radford, Chris Mebford, and Brandon Mebford going to cycle around and try to grab the lead from Chris Spencer as the caution comes out with green flag pit stops happening.
Wow. And I think Nathan Bishop might have had a penalty. He sat on pit road forever. And he pitted from third when he was running third when he came in, and oh, that looks like he well, he probably will get a waiver on him. He's coming out right behind the pace car.
So we will take a look. Looks like a couple guys had issues. We'll take a look and see if that's the cause of our Willis Landscape caution. It looks like Ryan Wilson exiting the pits got sideways, and then Ray Radford got into him. So that's our first Willis Landscape caution of the night.
Yeah, real easy to do coming around that, you know, Talladega, you can come out of the pits, put your foot on the floor and drive all the way around those corners and get going. Here you've got to, once you get about mid-corner, you know, you're about third gear and you're having to lift a little bit to keep that back end under you. And then once you get on the track, once you kind of get the car straightened out coming out of turn 2, that's when you can really get back into it and go. But boy, that's going to shuffle the running order here. I mean, Chris Spencer, it looks like is going to, we've seen him up front, but Derek Myers is going to be our new leader here.
And really, they were in the pits when that caution came out. Hunter Tate in third was coming around and was most likely going to pass them on their exit of the pit road. So it was able to keep Myers and Spencer out front.
And I'll tell you, that's the nice thing about this track being so big. You can get in and out. You know, you barely lose a lap or get close to it. Whereas think about this, if that was Martinsville, those cats just would have caught the field down maybe 2 laps.
So Derek Myers, Chris Spencer, Hunter Tate, your top 3. The iRacing pace car lights are on, so not going back this time. When we come back, we will have our Blackhawk Motorsports restart zone to bring us back to green. Our Linda Haney Memorial Pole Award winner tonight was Chris Berg. He's currently running 14th.
You know, I know they clear the Lake Lloyd there in the infield during the race, but how cool would that be to sit on a pontoon boat fishing and watching the cars go by? That'd be a great afternoon, wouldn't it?
I'd be down for that. The interesting thing for me is at Talladega, now even a little bit at Atlanta with that new package, and Daytona. If you're sitting in the grandstands, it's a loud flurry that goes by, and then once they hit about turns 1 and 2, you've got about 35-40 seconds that you can just talk, and it doesn't even feel like you're at a racetrack. It gets quieter than what you're used to at a lot of the smaller tracks. That always blows my mind at one of these restrictor plate races.
Yeah, Indianapolis is a lot the same because nowhere in the stands can you see the whole track, just because of the pagoda and I mean, you just can't. You have to go to the top of the pagoda to get a view of the whole track, and so yeah, they go by and yeah, it's 50 seconds later. Here they come again. It is. You're right. It is kind of a bizarre kind of world there.
So while we have a break, as mentioned, we will be back with the Light Electric Company NextGen Series for the Zoey's Place 150 at Chicagoland Speedway. That's going to be Sunday, July 10th. Be right here on Extreme eSpeed TV, 9 o'clock start, as usual for that next race.
You know, I miss that track. I always thought that put on such great racing in the real world. I know on iRacing, it's a really fun track. It's probably one of my favorite tracks to go to. I'm glad we still utilize it, but it's a shame to see that kind of go away. And if you even still drive by there, they never took the Steins down on 55 going through there. You still go on. They'll say Chicagoland Raceway next exit, and every time I go by there, I just shake my head.
Yeah, there's definitely been some shakeups with that NASCAR Cup Series schedule. Some good, some really good. And then, of course, as there's change, I think there's always the tracks that you miss throughout. I still remember that first race at Chicagoland where that big orange went rolling down the front stretch.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. You're right. Yes. Yeah, I think Harvick won that race, too.
So it's interesting now that we have tracks that I remember opening that are no longer on the schedule, which is always a weird thing. But who knows? Maybe someday.
All right, you know how old I am. I remember watching races at the old Riverside, California, out out west. So, yeah, there are a lot of tracks. I can recall them going to Wilkesboro and a few others. But, that's days gone by. We're in the present here and getting ready to go green.
So the Blackhawk Motorsports restart zone is on, and we are back to green here at Daytona.
Interesting, they chose to do single file restarts here. That's going to be an interesting start here. You don't have to worry about packing up. Everybody concentrate just getting on through the gears and don't have to worry about guys to your outside.
And that really stretches them out. There's consistent gaps of about 4/10 between each car throughout the field. So the ones that are able to get lined up and formulate a little group might be able to make their way up through quickly here.
Yeah, and if you're towards the back and you do something like miss a shift, you could be in real trouble here.
So you've got the teammates of Derek Myers and Chris Spencer out front. And really, those two have probably been the best from a bump drafting standpoint and staying in line that we've seen, at least of that front group.
Absolutely. A lot of advantages to having your teammates on there. You can talk back and forth, say, hey, this is what I'm feeling. I'm going to have to do lift here a little bit, or I got to move up here a little bit. My car's struggling. Why don't you try to get up front? Let me see if I can push and we can go faster. I'm going to get ready to pit here. I mean, there's so many things you can sit and talk about to help your race and improve what you're doing.
So as we complete lap 36, you can see that inside line starting to group up and get moving along. Really expect someone to try to jump up, especially as we've got some teams now set up next to each other and running nose to tail. See if someone tries it.
Yeah, those gaps are almost gone now. That where we saw that start, those gaps form, they're all coming back together. Now we got a line to the outside. Looks like that's Baker that's going to try to lead that line forward.
Steve Baker, our three-time winner, and our points leader, Brian Littleton, get in line. Travis Smith in that 9, not too far behind. He's got a small group with him as well. See what that outside line can do and see if they can move up through the field.
Yeah, they're quite a ways off the lead, so if they can get up there and be side by side with the leaders, that's going to tell you a heck of a lot about if that outside can stay organized. And look at these guys too. The guys on the outside, they're not moving around like they were that line you saw earlier. Baker's holding a steady line. Littleton's holding a very steady line as they go down. And now we got one that's going to pull up here in front of Baker and join the party.
So Chris Medford will jump up in front of that 55 of Baker, at least for now. As now it's that outside line that's more grouped. But Baker and Littleton will jump to the inside.
Yeah, Baker, or Medford, when he came up there, I think that Baker had to kind of check up a little bit, not to run him over, so they opted to go low and just drive right around him.
And it's interesting, too. You've got Baker, Littleton, Travis Smith, Yancey, all a part of Dirty Air Racing, as they're now able to get back together and try to make it work. As now Littleton will move past Baker, and now that outside group is back lined up and moving towards the front.
Yeah, Baker needs to get a little closer to Littleton here before they start moving forward. That inside line is kind of shuffling them back, but now Baker's on his bumper. We'll see what happens here.
And Medford will jump up in front of them again. As that outside line moves, Medford wants to be the one that's leading it to the front.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if, once he gets up there, does he pull down in front of that outside? Oh, look at that. Spencer jumps up now and is going to try to lead that outside. Now we've got, looks like a nice long line of guys on that outside lane.
Spencer will nose ahead through 3 and 4 as Myers fights back on that inside line. And Hunter Tate's back into his usual position for the night as that second car on that inside line. Also with that, we've got 40 laps down. We've got 40 more laps to go in our Pacific Aerial Bash at Daytona 200. As now Hunter Tate will take his chances. That front group's kind of separated there as they've got two lines, but plenty of space between some of the cars.
And they've got Roy Hyde up the road a little bit, who must have lost the draft. Is going to get swallowed up by these guys in probably about the next half a lap or so. He's coming to the pit area.
If the last 10 laps since this restart, John, is any preview of what's going to happen at the end of this, one, I think everyone's going to be on their own. And two, I think anyone's willing to make a move if they think another line will push them towards the front.
Yeah, I mean, as a driver, you know, you've got to be greedy at some point. You know, you want to, if you've got teammates behind you, yeah, you want to take care of them always. But when you're talking last 4 or 5 laps and you get a chance to win, you've got to put yourself in that position to get the win. And I know sometimes that can ruffle teammates' feathers a little bit, but you know, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do to get wins here. And I think a lot of these guys are smart. They recognize that. And I think that you're right. I think when it comes down to it, these guys are going to put themselves in that position that they think best.
So we've got our Blackhawk Motorsports Shake and Bake in-car camera riding along with Chris Medford. He's up 13 spots since the start of this race, one of our bigger movers. As you now see that outside line starting to move again, it's Travis Smith leading that group now.
Yeah, and we've got, it looks like Derek Myers might be blinking a little bit. Oh, yeah. Now that is nerve-wracking if you're running around here at 190 mile an hour.
And it continues as they go through. And it's going to be Travis Smith coming to the lead, but they're still 3 wide, and Myers continues to run right there in the middle.
Yeah, well, he can't go high and he can't get low. Now he can get low. Looking at his ping level, which is, I don't know, you probably shed some light on what that is. All I know is when it gets red, it's bad, and his is really red.
And it looks like he's going to pull off.
At least let the field get by him for right now. Because he can hang out behind, you know, maybe not in there and hold the pack. And maybe that can correct itself. It's already coming down a little bit. So I've had issues where mine have spiked and, you know, come back the other way. So that's what he's probably going to hold out hope for here.
So 44 laps now complete out front. It's Hunter Tate on that inside line, Travis Smith on that outside line. Great move there by Spencer to jump in front of Baker as he's now third in line of that inside group.
Yeah, Spencer has a really strong car. I mean, I've seen him really take that outside line to the front, and he can push really well on the bottom. All the cars I've watched tonight, I think he actually has the strongest car out there right now.
So Travis Smith's able to jump in front of that inside line now as they will come complete lap 45. And a very entertaining race here tonight at Daytona so far. The one caution earlier for some troubles for a car getting off pit road, but out on the racetrack it's been clean, but there's been a lot of movement and a lot of moves made, especially up front in this group.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, these guys are probably white knuckling in here, you know, as close as they've been throughout this whole race here with all these green flag laps. Not a whole lot of time to relax, but look at that 11 just drive on his own right through the middle past the guys on the outside. I'm telling you, that Spencer has a strong car tonight.
And he will get back in the lead of that outside line.
And he did it without any help. And he stays right on that seam. You can see a dark strip right through the corner. And he just seems to keep his car right on that. And the 48 behind him, you know, went up a little bit higher, not quite doing that. Now he's on his own. Unfortunately, when he's on his own like that against 5, that's not going to do well for him.
As he'll slide back alongside of Hedrick and Baker. But holding tough, hoping someone will jump up there and help push him back up. Really, the closest guy running up top there is Troy Radford. He's back in 10th currently, and he'll jump back to that inside line.
Well, the one thing he's got going for him, look how close he is on the doors of the guys behind him. When they're in a line, he's not that far down the track on them. But when you do that, you hear it a lot in the real world, that side draft. It pulls the guy to your inside back. And that's what he's doing. I think that's how he's able to hold on there. He's getting pretty close down onto their doors in the corners and keeping them separated where they can't just drive on by him.
So they continue to race at the front, single file with the exception of Chris Spencer. Looking back in the pack, towards the back of the field, you've got Brian Mescal Jr. He was our winner here to kick off the season at Daytona. Lance Yancey continues to run at the back of the pack. 2 cars that we know can win and run fast here, so it'll be interesting to watch once they do turn it on, what they're able to do as they decide to move up towards the front of the field. Also back with them is Matt Kopp, and then that 66 of our pole sitter, Chris Berg.
Yeah, and the 24 has come back into it too there. He appears to have that blinking issue, Derek Myers, and he's pulling up on the outside. We've got 4 cars now, 4 really good cars on the outside with Spencer and Baker and Radford. And Meyer was there, but now he dove down to the inside. And they're about a full corner from another group of guys that are side-by-side racing, it looks like, which is really not helping their cause. If you get side-by-side, it slows you down.
Well, and it's interesting to watch, too. The Myers car, his top speed is quite a bit faster than anyone else really around him by almost 3-4 miles per hour. And it's been that way all day. He started towards the rear of the pack. He fell to the back and then made his way back up. And he'll rinse and repeat and do it again, and now he's back up inside that top 10.
Yeah, he has the advantage. He's not on anybody's bumper. He can just hold her wide open and enjoy that draft, and it'll suck him up. Give him a couple more miles an hour quicker. But if you're one of those cars in that front pack where you're maybe sitting in that 3rd spot inside line, you're kind of working the throttle a little bit, you know, maybe going from about 100% to 90%. Just to stay, you know, not to hit the guy in front of you in the corner or something like that. But they've caught these guys. These guys have been side by side like this now for a while. Boy, if you're the leader coming up on this group, you're nervous right now.
And they are all over the track as the inside line will move out of the way.
He made a massive gallop. He got out of the way, but boy, he made that decision late.
And they're able to get through cleanly.
Yeah, I'm sure, and that's going to really hurt Massengill because he went flying down pit road. I guarantee it. He's got a speeding penalty he's going to have to serve now.
So looking at the results from our Daytona kickoff to the season, John, we had Brian Mescal Jr. picking up his 8th career NextGen win, Justin Walters 2nd, Gordon Larson Jr. 3rd, Brian Littleton 4th, and Steve Baker 5th. So some of those same players are running towards the front today.
Yeah, and like I said on the top of the show, you know, it's a different kind of racing, and some guys just have a knack for it, or are just really, really good at doing this and enjoy doing it. Other guys just want to get here and get out of here. And guys, I can tell you, you know, the guys that know how to do this kind of racing, man, they are tough on these kind of tracks.
So we'll do the Blackhawk Motorsports shake and bake in-car cam, now riding along with Derek Myers. Made his way back up to his teammate of Chris Spencer as they run 1-2 here at Daytona.
Yeah, those two cars, I think, are the absolute class of the field as of right now. I've watched both those guys. They just got a ton of speed and seem to make the right moves at the right times and find their way up front fairly easy.
Also something to notice, John, we're on lap 54. Green flag pit stop started on lap 28 to start this race. So we'll see when the second round of pit stops are completed here.
And they should be far enough too that I believe that, you know, barring a caution somewhere in the middle of that run, that'll be the last time they're on pit road. And then they'll have to pray no green white checker, because that would definitely change that equation a little bit.
So Chris Spencer continues to lead Derek Myers, Travis Smith, Hunter Tate. That outside line, welcome back to the front, Chris Berg. He is third in line in that outside line, looking to make his way back up to the front where he started tonight.
Yeah, it's that quick time, so we know he's got a quick car here, but you know, that's obviously you're out there by yourself and on that bottom, so you know, maybe that car acts a little different in the pack than what he was out front. But when he was out front, he held on to that lead for a long time.
So 25 laps to go here at Daytona in the Pacific Aerial Bash at Daytona. Outside line now with 4 guys. Haven't really moved up on the leaders, really. Stalling out there along Matt McMeekin to the inside.
Yeah, they just need to stay organized on that outside and get enough cars going. And you said it earlier, you think that outside's quicker. I agree with you. I think if they got enough cars, they can just drive around the guys on the bottom.
So 24 laps now to go. The front 2 cars pulling away a little bit from Travis Smith there, as they continue to really just ride along in place. Going to be interesting to see which team jumps down into pit road first, as that green flag pit stop strategy kind of fell apart as that caution came out in the middle of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I kind of also wonder, will anybody maybe take maybe right side tires, because at the very least, you know, the time you're going to take to put fuel in the car, that should give you enough time to change those out right side tires. Baker just backed up through the pack and got to the inside here, so I'll be kind of wondering if these guys don't jump down pit road here in the next lap or two.
So thank you for joining us tonight at the Pacific Aerial Bash at the Beach 200 here at Daytona International Speedway. I'm Travis Pierceville. John Hine joined me as usual here on Extreme eSpeed TV. We've got 22 laps to go. They will make 80 laps around this track to complete tonight's race as they continue to battle and hope to get into Century Victory Lane tonight. And with the single file, 22 laps to go, it's got the makeup of green flag pit stops about to start any lap now.
You know, and you're looking at this line of cars now, you're talking, you know, almost 20 some odd cars all on a line. This is where the team's got to be communicating, okay, we're going here, we're going here. But I'm going to tell you, if half of these guys all come at the same time, that is going to be a wild scene at the entrance of pit road. The benefit too of jumping down there and going a little bit earlier than everybody else, like I said, you'll get a clean shot into pit road and a clean shot off. To me, that would make it worth it to try to, once I'm in my window to get through the end of the race. All right, I'm taking the fuel. That would be my line of thinking anyway.
So 20 laps to go now. No one jumps in this time. Great run for Travis Smith. He started 16th. He was someone that didn't take a time. Has ran up front since green flag pit stops on lap 31 when our first Willis Landscape caution of the night came out. Little game of cat and mouse, John, waiting for that first group to dive onto pit road.
Yeah, and we're getting now to the point of, okay, they've ran longer now than they did that first run. So the big question is, how much longer can they go? And if they all wait to the last minute, you're going to see 20 cars come down pit road at one time. I don't think that'll happen, but with this group, I've learned to expect the unexpected.
So Chris Spencer continues to lead. He came into this race leading 38 laps this season so far. And it looks like...
Yep, we got some takers.
The Dirty Air Racing team jumps to the pits. So it was Baker Littleton, Travis Smith, Brian Mescal Jr., and Lance Yancey that came down pit road first here with 18 laps to go. We'll see who our takers are this time by.
Yeah, and again, we saw trouble. That's where our caution came from, was the last green flag pit stops. So just because they get on pit road, they've got to prove that they can get off of pit road too. Oh, we got a ton of them coming in now. All but one.
Including our leaders there, a group of about 11 came down.
Yeah, it looked like they all got in cleanly.
Matt McMeekin was the lone one of the group there that didn't. We'll see if he comes down that next time. And then you can see that group running currently in 15th, led by Steve Baker. He's that Dirty Air Racing group that came down first, as they'll get lined up here and see what type of ground they're able to make up on that pack that just came down.
Long line of cars, big gaps out between them here. Big thing for these guys is how quickly can they kind of come back together, as Baker just freight training them on the outside at the back. So how far can Baker work up here before they all get up to speed?
With the pass on Jimmy Hedrick there, they are up to 13th. They'll make their move on Troy Radford for 12th. With the next group pitting, they're actually up to 10th now. And after it cycles around, it's Chris Berg that's up front. He's got Hunter Tate right behind him. Chris Spencer and Derek Myers, who led as these green flag pit stops started, will remain there as this mini group of about 5 cars leads the pack.
Well, I think they're all going to probably get close back together, probably about, I don't know, 7, 8 laps to go. And that's going to be pay window time. So when they get there, they got to go to work and try to take control of this thing. So you're not going to see a lot of patience once they kind of all get back. Once this whole group gets back together, they're going to go racing.
So that outside line led by Baker continues to inch their way forward. As it's Chris Spencer, Derek Myers, Chris Berg, Hunter Tate, that top pack of 4 there. But this group of about 13 cars is really starting to organize and should make for a heck of a finish here at Daytona.
Absolutely. And guys are going to get more defensive. I think they're going to start switching lanes more often, trying to throw blocks. This is where it's going to get sketchy, I think, for some of these drivers.
That outside line makes it 3 wide for 6th.
Yeah, we've seen Medford jump up there before and try to get in front of them, and you know they seem to want to get away from. Oh, there's contact.
Medford gets squirrely. He's able to hold on and keep it straight as they'll go into one. It does break up that outside group, though, as him and Baker got together.
Now that was a Code Brown moment. Man, I don't know how he saved that.
And it's interesting, Baker and Travis Smith got a ton of momentum from it. They're going to be in that lead group here shortly. And it's Chris Berg, our Linda Haney Memorial Pole Award winner, back to the lead here with 13 laps to go. John, I think it's time to buckle up for the end of this race.
Yeah, buckle up and take a deep breath. But don't look now, but we haven't called his name tonight that much, but our early season Daytona winner, Brian Miskell Jr., guess where he's at? He's right up here in the mix now.
He is a part of that lead group, currently running 10th. That lead group has about 13 cars in it. And there is a lot of movement at the front.
Boy, there sure is. And if you look now, they're not just riding on each other's bumper. They're starting to push and shove a little bit.
Currently riding along with Chris Berg in the 66. He's running 3rd with our Blackhawk Motorsports Shake and Bake in-car camera. He'll make a move to the outside. He gets up along the side of the 24 of Derek Myers.
Boy, these guys are just racing really intensely right now. 10 more laps of this stuff. Woo-wee. These guys are going to be spent by the end of this.
So 10 laps to go this time by. As always, stay with us after for our post-race show. We'll have the top 3 finishers join us in the booth. And we've got side-by-side racing. We've got a group of 14 at the front. Currently led by Chris Spencer on that inside line, Chris Berg on that outside line.
Yeah, they've calmed down for a moment here. There was a lot of flurry there, but now they're kind of maybe taking a last, deep breath here. And now they're finalizing their final plans. Where do I want to be, on that last lap? Do I want to be up front? Do I want to be second? Where do I want to have my car? Do I want to be in the inside row? Do I want to be in the outside row? Right now is when they've got to be deciding that and then committing to it. Along with those things, you're thinking about, okay, who do I want to push or who do I want pushing me? And like I said, I'm probably more petty than most. I'm thinking, looking behind and seeing who's behind me and who's in front of me and making, going back and thinking, did they abandon me at some point? Have they been good to me this race? If so, then I'll probably hitch my wagon to them and work with them. And if I got somebody that kind of might have did me wrong somewhere in that race and abandoned me, like I said, and hung me out, now I'm going to figure out a way to get around them.
Thinking with what you said about pushers, if you look at that front 4 group, Derek Myers and Hunter Tate have probably the most experience tonight as pushers, with the 2 Chris's out front being up in front of them a majority of this race.
Yeah, that second place car washed up. Baker almost got his nose in there. Boy, I tell you, that's really close there coming out of turn 2.
And we've seen it time and time again here at Daytona. That position that Baker and Travis Smith is in may not be a bad spot. As we've seen guys, I think of recent times at Daytona, the guy running 4th, 5th, a lot of the times can avoid something in front of him and come away with a victory here.
Absolutely. And, a second ago, I think Baker cut a little bit of a break coming out of turn 2. But I'll tell you, 4 more laps from now, you may not do that. And that's when trouble can arise, when everybody quits giving, and it becomes all take. I think there's a little bit of that, a little bit of give and take still going on, but I think the last lap or 2, that's going to turn all the take.
So looking at teammates, you have TB Racing, which is Hunter Tate and Nathan Bishop. That outside line, they're hooked up. On the inside, you've got Chris Spencer, Derek Myers, teammates, part of Smoke Show Racing. They're teamed up. Go to Falcon Motorsports. You've got the 46 of Chris Medford, the 83 of Brandon Medford. They're lined up. And then rounded out with Dirty Air Racing, which you have Steve Baker and Travis Smith. They're on that inside line. It's Chris Berg out front that's all alone without a teammate right now.
Yeah, and Spencer jumps to the outside there. Looks like he's going to get pushed out in front by a nose going into turn 3 here.
So it will be 5 laps to go this time by.
And there's 5 laps to go. We've already run, I don't know how many 100 miles plus. And Travis, they're lined up just like they started, side by side. How many rows deep?
We've got a group of about 15 cars here running all together. And it's been this way for about 10 laps now as Chris Spencer gets stuck in the middle. See how it shakes out for him as Baker tries to make a move. Myers will jump in front of him.
There's that blocking I was talking about.
And there's Myers getting in front of his teammate who got forced to the middle, and now they're on that outside line with a move to the lead.
Yeah, we got 3 laps to go, and I see traffic up ahead. I don't know that they're going to catch him or not, but boy, what more? Why not throw that in the mix? There's about 4 cars. Boy, it's going to be real close if they catch those guys or not.
Lots of movement up front as Baker is all over the back of Berg for the lead on that inside line. Outside line now moving up as well. And we're going to be side by side with now 3 laps to go.
Yeah, at some point here, you're going to be, if you're back, maybe in that third row, I guess I should say, not even third, but maybe that third row, you've got to just say, okay, I'm going to commit to whoever in front of them, push them. Hopefully they get us to the front. It'd be really difficult to pull out and pass, a couple of rows of cars, on that final corner.
Some movement towards the back of that second outside line as Myers will jump down into front of Berg on that inside line.
Abandoned his teammate.
Berg slides up to the outside of him. And they're going to be side by side, 2 laps to go now at Daytona.
Oh, the bumping in the trial. We got both the guys on the front there out of shape. They're able to gather it up. Travis, I think they are going to catch this lap traffic on the last lap, no less. Oh, there they go.
There's contact. The 24, the 55 are going to go to the inside after contact.
No caution.
So that's Steve Baker and Derek Myers. And there's still, as Hunter Tate and Spencer get contact, they save it coming out of 4. That's going to be the white flag this time by.
Yeah, now this has kind of opened it up here. Guys are going to be able to get runs. Oh, the 27, that's going to be a wreck. Yep. All right, you got 4 guys that this is going to be settled amongst now.
So they will go single file. It's Chris Berg, Chris Spencer, Hunter Tate, and Travis Smith, your top 4.
And the lap guys are not in a single line getting out of the way. You got one guy going down the middle of the track. Oh my gosh. Gets out of the way the last second.
Chris Berg, Chris Spencer, Hunter Tate separate from the group. They're nose to tail coming out of 4. Let's see what move can be made by Spencer. He jumps to the inside of Berg. He's got momentum with Hunter Tate behind him, and the winner at Daytona is going to be Chris Spencer.
I did think he had the strongest car. I said it earlier, and he's going to take that number 11 car right to victory lane. Well done.
Chaos there at the end as that group of 15 ended up being 3 cars battling for the win the last 2 laps.
Yeah, and heartbreak for guys like Baker and the 24 of Derek Myers. Those guys had incredibly strong cars, and that incident on the backstretch kind of took them out of contention. But what a finish. And you know what? They just ran a plate track with 1 caution. That's just incredible. And every one of these guys in this field should really feel good about that. That's incredible.
So your Daytona winner, the Pacific Aerial Bash at the Beach 200, is going to be Chris Spencer as he celebrates on the start-finish line. We will have the top 3 drivers joining us here shortly. And Chris Spencer will bring it into Century Victory Lane. You can see the 24, his teammate, they were hooked up throughout the night. As we wait for them to get out of their cars, your top 10 is going to be Chris Spencer, Hunter Tate, Chris Berg, Travis Smith, Troy Radford, Chris Medford, Brian Mescal Jr., Matt McMeekin, Brian Medford, and Matt Kopp, your top 10.
Just incredible racing again. These guys, and it doesn't matter if it's on a short track, it's on a roval. These guys put on a great show every week.
Every week, it's exciting to join the Light Electric Company Next Gen Series each and every Sunday. Few off weeks during the season. But we will get started. John, it looks like you've got our third place finisher, Chris Berg.
Yeah, Chris, this is John up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yep, got a copy.
Well, bud, I tell you, you had one of the strongest cars all night, and I know that this is not the finish that you wanted to get, especially leading when you came to get the white flag. Any second guessing any moves you made on that last lap?
No, I was kind of with my teammates. Stuff happened on pit road. Really wasn't much I could do. I was a sitting duck, hoping that maybe Hunter Tate would go with me. Can only really throw one block. Otherwise, you throw another one, and there's a chance of just wrecking all three of you guys and somebody that's back behind winning it. So, I can't. I wanted to win this one bad, being that my father-in-law was sponsoring the race, and I got a special paint scheme for my best friend Austin Wheatley, who was injured pretty bad at Dirt Cup up here at Skagit. So I was trying to put it in victory lane for them. But to come back, I had the very first pit stop, came on pit road, the 30 or the 48, came across almost losing it. So I had to speed, stayed on the lead lap, and got back up there. So third place, can't be mad. That's a first, second, and third the last three races.
Well, I have to ask, you mentioned Austin there. I know that he got pretty good burns. How is he doing?
He's doing pretty good. He got a couple broken ribs, punctured lung, and a collapsed lung, and then pretty bruised, and heartbroken. He was running super good too. Would have had a legit shot at it.
Oh, that's right. There's two bad accidents that happened this weekend. The other one was that weekend, and a gentleman got burned. And good to hear that he's going to be doing okay, and hopefully he will get back on the track soon here. But you gave him plenty of TV time. You're up front there, and everybody got to see that car a whole lot. There's such a crapshoot when you come to these deals, especially at these super speedways, these plate tracks. What was your strategy, your team strategy going in? Were you guys just all wanting to run up front and stay up there, or were you guys split? How did you guys handle everything from a team strategy standpoint?
Kind of at first when I qualified on the pole, I was going to stay up there, stayed up there for a while. And then if I stayed leading that line, I was going to be probably like 2 laps short on fuel compared to everyone else. So we kind of fell back, and everyone was just riding, trying to stay with that lead pack right there until, the last 20 laps or right after that last pit stop and start charging. But everything just kind of got broken up. That first caution took out Mike, unfortunately, when I think the 29 lost it coming off of pit road. And then on that green, on that restart, it was all jumbled up. It was weird single file, and the green didn't come out till you hit the start finish line. So I know Dylan and Ping, they lost the draft because of that, which sucked. But we're just kind of trying to ride near the front so we were in a position to attack. And that's kind of where I was heading into that last pit stop, where I did about 6.8 gallons, and just was kind of trying to charge up before that to put myself in position like I did.
Well, you got a good finish out of it. Like I said, I know you probably wanted a couple more spots than where you're from, but anytime I think you can bring home a top 3 on a plate track, I always feel pretty good about that. So anybody you'd like to give a shout out to?
My best friend, Austin Wheatley, hope he heals up quick. And then we got, Conrad Insurance Group, our main sponsor here at Blackhawk Motorsports, all my teammates, Pacific Aerial Services for helping and then sponsoring the race, as well as Austin's clothing company, Vapotrail Clothing. He does that along with graphic design and t-shirts. He does a lot of stuff for a lot of sprint car guys and tracks. So check out Downforce Designs, Vapotrail Clothing, if you want designs and stuff done and top quality work.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. We'll see you again here in Chicagoland. Any quick thoughts on that track and what your expectations are?
Hopefully can make it. It was a last lap finish with me and Chris Spencer, who got his first win today, which congratulations to him. It was a I got him last year at Chicagoland with a bump and run on the last lap and side by side finish, and he got me here on the last lap. Which that's both Daytona races. I'm leading on the last lap and don't come home with the trophy, but I'll take a third all day long.
Well, great job tonight. It was just a joy to watch you guys. You guys put on a hell of a show. That is Chris Berg, our third place finisher tonight.
Now joining us, our second place finisher, it's Hunter Tate. Hunter, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got you. How are you guys?
Doing well. Great run tonight as you bring home a second place. It felt like all night you were the guy that was pushing someone to the lead or up front. Did you feel like that was kind of the place you were destined to be, or were you waiting for your opportunity to try to jump out front?
I mean, it was a little bit of both. I kind of prefer to be the pusher in these races. I'm not all that comfortable out front and blocking. That's not really my thing. And also the race just kind of played out that way. I think I qualified third, so I was pushing somebody for the first half of the race, and then I just never really was able to get out front for any real length of time. But I did enjoy pushing, and the guys that I was pushing, I know Chris Spencer and Chris Berg, both those guys were really easy to push, really kept it straight, so they made it easy.
Towards the end of the race, you were able to hook up with your teammate Nathan Bishop. At that point, what was your guys' plan? Were you guys communicating? Did you have something planned to try to get you both up to the front?
We didn't really have anything in particular planned. We didn't really even plan on linking up there. It just kind of happened. But it's always good to be with your teammate and have someone that you can trust that isn't going to bail on you. But I know that if he was able to push me up to the lead, I wasn't going to bail on him. I was going to wait until he could get behind me because it's really invaluable to have a teammate behind you.
So we have next week off. When we come back, we'll go to Chicagoland, and then we have a few weeks to really get into a rhythm of weekly Sunday night racing. What's your strategy as you head to that point of the season and continue to try to make up some grounds on the point standings?
Really, it's just consistency. I feel like I've run really well at just about every track, like top 10 speed pretty much everywhere, but I just haven't finished there, and that's part of that has been my fault, just not being able to finish out races. So I think hopefully the luck will come back to me a little bit in the second half of the season. But I got to be better at finishing races. That's really what I'm focused on.
Well, it was a great run tonight for you, Hunter. Any sponsors you want to give a shout out to for tonight?
Yeah, definitely. I want to give a shout out to Factory Setups and NB Graphical Solutions. He whipped up this awesome car for me with the American flag and everything on it. I think it's awesome. He's terrific at that. So if you need a paint job or anything like that, Nathan Bishop is your guy. And I also want to thank my mom. I know she watches every race. And I also want to thank America.
Well, congratulations, Hunter. We will see you in a couple weeks in Chicago.
Thank you, guys.
And now, John, you have tonight's winner, Chris Spencer, joining you from Century Victory Lane.
Yeah, Chris, it's John. You got a copy?
Hey, John, what's going on?
You tell me. How excited are you right now?
It's been a long time to try to get there, and finally got a win. So ecstatic right now.
Well, I tell you, it was pretty evident to me early on, probably by about lap 25, 30 of the race, that I thought you probably had the strongest car out there. How early on did you feel like, okay, I've got a car that I can win with?
Let me tell you, Smoke Show Racing Mustang was pretty fast tonight. I'm glad Derek just happened to be in the races tonight, was making his debut in the league, and just both of us, just the fours are really strong. Just both cars, really, really good tonight.
Well, you had a great run through the pack, and it got dicey the last 10 laps there. Did you have any moments where you're like, oh gosh, this is it? My race is probably going to come to an end. Any really close moments that kind of gave you a little pause at the end there?
Yeah, I got stuck through hard there. I was really aggressive there, man. I got stuck, and I knew I was like, all right, so who's going to help me here? I've been exactly the nicest guy tonight, so I got stuck through wide, and just luckily, I just got the right push at the right time, and it shot me back up to the middle. And then when we caught the lap cars over there, that was pretty tight. I got a little hairy there, so I was like, this might not go too well for any of us. I just got to apologize to Steve, the 55 and the 24 there. I went back and just watched, and I know I came down on them pretty tight off the two there, and I think me and the 24 may have tagged each other a little bit, and I took the 55 with him. So just sorry to those guys, and hate that happened to them.
Yeah, close racing, that kind of stuff can happen and whatnot. So very cool of you to apologize, and I'm sure that that'll mean something to those guys when they hear it. Um, you know, the most exciting part though is coming out of turn 4. The checkered flag is within sight. You're not leading yet. What are your thoughts? Between there and the checkered flag.
I was hoping I knew Chris was gonna block if he could, and I knew once he blocked me off before, there was really nothing much I could do. Because just not enough time. I just happened to get lucky when he pulled up the slide. I slid back to the inside of him, and the 8 just happened to catch me at the right time, so it kind of pinned us under him and just gave me a big push forward. So we went down in 3, and I didn't think I really had anything for Chris. I got a pretty hard shot over there. I say maybe a lap before from someone, and I thought I had damage from what I was seeing, but looks like everything was good and kind of just lucky at the right spot, right place at the right time.
Well, you now have the big momentum. Big Mo's on your side. What are your thoughts about the next race at Chicago?
I feel pretty good. We had a really strong race there last season. Me and Chris had a great battle at the end there. Came home second, so I feel pretty good about going back there and hopefully maybe picking up a win to get back to back.
Well, that'll be awesome. Well, Chris, congratulations again on a well-deserved victory tonight. Who would you like to give a shout out to?
Smoke Show Racing, everyone in the LEC NextGen series, Pacific Air Services as well, Chris Bergen, those guys, just the week, just everyone, just every week, great racing, great hard racing. It's very hard to find around my racing sometimes with some of the leagues, and these guys just every week put on a show. So really enjoy racing with them and look forward to many more.
Well, once again, congratulations on your victory tonight. Enjoy it. We'll see you again in a couple weeks, and then see if you can go back to back.
Thank you. I thank you guys as well.
Yep.
Just eSpeed. Just again, great calling as well. Just watch the broadcast. We're watching the broadcast now, so every week, enjoy watching you guys.
Well, thank you very much. Have a happy and safe 4th of July. That is Chris Spencer, tonight's big winner at Daytona.
So, John, with that, that's Chris Spencer joining you from Century Victory Lane as we show the finishing lineup here at Daytona. John, we leave Daytona, head to Chicagoland after an off week. What is your takeaway as we leave Daytona here tonight?
After what I saw tonight, I don't want to leave Daytona. Man, that was a heck of a shootout those last 10, 15 laps there. But you know what? We're going to go back to more traditional style racing. It's a fun track there. It's one that will give you multiple grooves. These guys have proven week in and week out that they can handle about anything that's thrown at them and put a good show on doing it. So let's get it going. Let's get that summer going and then see how these guys progress through the rest of the season.
So as you mentioned, John, we will be back here on Extreme eSpeed TV for the Light Electric Company Next Gen Series Zoey's Place 150 at Chicagoland Speedway. That'll be Sunday night, July 10th at 9 p.m. start there. If you're looking for some racing action sooner than that, here on Extreme eSpeed TV, we'll have the Cool Ray Pro Late Model Dirt Series, the River Valley Rumble at Port Royal Speedway. That is this Tuesday at 8:05. I'll be joined by Adam Johnson as usual for that. Part of a Pennsylvania Speed Week as they will go to Williams Grove on Wednesday. Of course, Extreme eSpeed TV, the official home of the Light Electric Company Next Gen Series. For John Hine, I'm Travis Piercefield, and thank you for tuning in tonight. We look forward to seeing you at a track again soon.
This copyrighted broadcast of Extreme eSpeed TV Network is intended solely for the entertainment of the audience. Any retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise distributed or used in any form without express written consent of the Extreme eSpeed TV Network is strictly prohibited. We hope you've enjoyed this broadcast.